Good morning. Robert here from the Red Dragon School of Martial Arts. And today we'll be going over Tai Chi, in particular the movement raise hands, step forward. So in this case, an application is designed to intercept somebody punching directly from the side of us using their left hand in particular. So we're going to try to intercept that technique and trap that person's arm as it's approaching. Now, before we actually begin, let's frame our body a little bit. And in doing so, by framing our body and connecting our body together, we'll be able to sort of assimilate the same behavior we're after when applying the movement. So let's start by spreading our feet apart. We know two things we're always doing. Number one is to remain stable. So very comfortably, let your body relax. Let your waist down, let your chest relax, head raised, the spirit is bright, and you're holding a gently expanded and relaxed frame. So breathe down inside your body. Kind of helps to feel inside the body. So I like to feel the feet. Feel all the way down. Breathe right down into the root. Stretch the head up. Turn up a bright, happy spirit. Now, normally I would encourage you to hold this for a while, and I hope that you add this into your practice every day. Think of this as like building a wall. Well, the Great Wall, right? But in summary, a little bit at a time, you make deposits in your health, you make deposits in these skills, and surely, gradually, every day, you're going to improve, okay? So include that in your daily routine and try to add that calming and strengthening and connecting feeling, right? Okay, so next what we like to do is to add a little stabilization. So this one too, I like to do this before I do my workouts because it wraps my mind around the idea of staying stable and relaxing and focusing on the task at hand. So the habit we like to do here is what we call golden rooster. So here, turn your left foot out to the side and simply sit on it. I'm going to turn my shoulders in the direction of my left foot, and I'm going to relax my body downward. From here, I want to feel my foot very carefully. So I sit on the left foot with 100% attention in the root. Just let the body inner relax. Try not to hold yourself internally. Let your waist down, let your chest relax. Try to calm the mind and feel your foot very carefully. Now, if you had a chair with you and you can keep relaxed like this, what you do is simply push down and raise up. Try not to disturb the inner peace. Deep breathing. And normally I would recommend holding it for a little longer. This time I'm going to turn the right foot out to the corner, 45 degrees away from the center line. Relax, and again, draw 100% of your attention. Feel your foot as carefully as you can. Relax, sit. %, attention in the root, pushing down, right? So it's really a factor of relaxing, releasing your weight all the way down into your root. And that's really what's going to allow you to remain stable. And that's a quality you're always trying to manage throughout this process. You think about no matter what movement you're doing, you need to be stable, right? We need to make sure that we are connected and rooted. Now, the other thing we're trying to do is when we think about generating force for these actions, we want to coil the energy into the ground and we want to push firmly on the ground as we apply these movements. And that's how that energy is going to be started. So we push firmly down, the leg straightening or the leg pushing on the floor explodes that energy, the waist transmits that energy, and then from there we apply the energy with our hands. So it's a flow that begins by pushing on the floor, and that equal and opposite force works its way up through the body and delivered through the technique. All right, now, as mentioned earlier, raise hand, step forward is an application that deals with somebody striking us from the side. Now, in the previous movement, we find ourselves turned in a bow stance 9 degrees to the center line, okay? So imagine from this position, single whip, here's the opening, right? So imagine somebody striking you in this area with their left hand. So in summary, let's take a look at the movement first, and then we'll build it from the bottom up. So here is hands raise up. Okay, let's take a look at the footwork first. So here we find ourselves in a bow stance, feet shoulders width apart, 90 degrees to the center line. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to adjust our feet. We're going to be turning 90 degrees. So in summary, we're going to sit back and prepare the rear foot first by rotating the whole frame and bringing that foot in 45 degrees. Now momentarily, both feet are parallel. I'm going to push firmly on the right foot all the way to the toe. I'm going to pivot on the ball of the foot and pull the foot in. I'm going to bend that right leg, bring it alongside the left, and from here we're going to step on the center line, but I'm going to keep the weight back. So here we have what we call an empty stance. Pressing on the floor, we're going to bend that right knee a little bit, but mostly the idea is to apply force on the floor. So in summary, my feet are very firmly pressing against each other, pressing down. So again, let's take a look at that footwork. We're going to sit the weight back. The waist moves the left toe in, pivoting on the heel. We push all the way to the tip of the right foot, bring the right foot underneath you, and then sit the heel. Keep the toe up in the air, almost touching the floor, but the idea is you're using the large heel pad to apply force. All right, so both legs working with each other complement the movement. We know that everything needs an equal and opposite force. Now, let's take a look at the waist function. The waist, when we think of the waist, we tend to imagine a ring. But instead, can we imagine a sphere, a space in which, like a chamber, we can make change, we can make energetic changes internally. So what we see on the outside is first performed on the inside, originated on the inside. So let's see what the waist does. So in this case, what we're going to imagine, for this sake, I'm going to put my hands on my waist so make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. First thing we do is we move the weight back. Now the waist leads the motion, so it's pulling the foot in place. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push all the way to the tip of my right toe, but at the same time I'm going to turn my waist a little bit to the right. From here, as I pull my right foot in, my waist turns slightly right, internally pulling that foot in. Set the movement down. Now with the feet in place, I turn my waist left. So the right side is applying force forward, and the left side is taking force back. So a little bit like opposite, we call this a splitting like force. So generally speaking, the left side coming towards you and the right side going away supports the action. And that's the function of the waist. Now let's take a look at the hand techniques. When we look at the hand techniques, the left hand's job, generally speaking, is simply to follow the body turning. So initially, both hands just simply rotate with the frame. Now, as we move the weight back, the hands tend to come back with us. We're trying to capture the technique. So the hands tend to move with us as we sit our weight back. Now the feet always lead the action as far as planting. Here we're going to push on the floor, and now turning the waist left, my left hand is coming inward, my right hand is going outward, and it would meet the hand in the middle. So if you can imagine somebody's arm in the middle, I'm going to capture their wrist with the left hand. I'm going to apply force on their elbow with the right. So with the opposite forces and feet pressing down, the waist transmits those pushes, and pow, we would break or attempt to break the opponent's arm. So that's the defensive side of raise hands up, step forward. Let's take a look at the whole movement again, and using our imagination, apply the image of defending somebody's left hand punch to middle body. Let's try it. Begin by sitting back, turn your waist to the right, left foot into the corner. Turn your waist right just a little bit more as you pick up the right foot, step on the center line. From here, hands meet in the middle. Gathering a big circle, meet in the middle. Slightly right and a lot left. Slightly right and a lot left. So it's like a gathering pulse. All right, let's try it again. From here, sit back, turn, center your weight. Feel your feet carefully. Feel your waist. Put your feet in place. From here, hands meet on the middle. The waist and leg technique are quite unique in this case. Most of the movements that we apply force with tend to have a lot of leg action, meaning bending and straightening, coiling energy inside the movement, and then uncoiling it as the leg straightens. So a little different in this case. This is more of a pulsing-like motion, meaning the legs pushing on the floor create an equal and opposite force coming up the body. But that push, as you can see, is internalized. It's not so much a factor of the leg moving or the weight shifting or a great deal of externalization. So this is a classic example of using internal force to provide energy needed for the technique. So in summary, it's a whole lot of internal emphasis, not so much leg movement. So minimize your weight shift. Don't shift your weight, keep your weight back. Let's try it again, guys. From here, head up, tail down, sit comfortable. Move your center of gravity back. We're not lifting the left foot, so I don't need a 100% weight shift here. Whenever we're not lifting the feet, we do partial shifts. It's only when I need to lift my feet off the ground do I need 100%, right? So here we're going to sit back and reposition the foot. Now we got to lift that right foot, so we got to push all the way to the tip of the toe and feel it. Know that you're clearly sitting on your root. That frees up your waist. Now your right side is free to go. The right side sits on the floor. From here, waist turning left allows you to operate the body very comfortably, right? You have nimble footwork and a nice connected, settled feeling. You try not to have the wobbles going on, right? All right, now, speeding it up, it's a little bit easier to see the usefulness of the energy. It took me a long time for me to feel comfortable with this one as far as a useful application. So it takes a little while for us to develop that internal energy to have enough force to be useful in this case. Let's take a closer look at it again, only this time let's add a little speed to it and see if we can observe the energy flow in the action. So a little quicker might look like this. Okay, so in summary, feet pressing firmly on the ground, driving a nice, strong, splitting force through the action. Again. What's cool about these actions is once you're familiar with what you're trying to do, you can play around with different speeds and different modes, if you will. I like to encourage you to do it as slow as you possibly can in order to make your weight shifts very careful and your energy flow very observable. So very, very, very slow will help us do that. Medium speed is probably more likely the way you'll do it most of the time. Not too fast, not too slow, making sure you're keeping the principles in place, and then from time to time enjoy these things from the standpoint of expressing yourself. Would it work for you, right? So you would like to be able to do it fast enough to have a sense of confidence and know that. And it's not like you're trying to see if you can do it as fast as you can. In fact, the recommendation is you should never go faster than you're able to do the movement correctly, meaning at least keep the principles intact, right? not lose our stability and so on. So play around with the different speeds that you're experiencing when you do these things, and you'll find that you'll give yourself plenty of opportunity that way to formulate and make this movement natural to you. You don't have to struggle with it, right? Let's try it again. From here, from the single whip position, raise hands, step forward. When you think of your breathing, we normally don't encourage you to think of breathing too much. Generally speaking, you'll find that if you relax and just allow your breathing to be natural, you'll notice that as you're gathering energy inward, charging the motion, your breath will be moving in that direction. As you express the energy outward with the technique, again, your breath will move in that direction. Now, when you're practicing these movements in solo form, since you're not worrying about keeping up a rhythm or a pace, generally speaking, again, you can play with different speeds, and you'll find that you'll enjoy it even more if you can coordinate the breath with it. That way, your inner energy and outer force will feel a lot more integrated by using your breath with it. Raising your spirit up and even audibilizing the movement a little bit helps to express a little bit more energy in the action. So hands raise up. Let's try it again, this time with a little bit of breath action, a little bit of spiritedness, and see how you feel with the technique. Make sure you press firmly on the floor. Let's try it. Raise your spirit up. Nice deep breath. Sit back, turn, deep breath gathering in. Put your feet on the floor, breathe out. It's a lot easier to feel that inner connection when you add breath and coordinate that breath with the motion. Now, we don't recommend trying to do that in sequence, and the reason is the duration of the movements when you're practicing tend to be longer than a normal comfortable breath. So just allow your breath to do what it needs to do. Don't worry about focusing on it. I like to focus on the breathing when I'm breaking movements down and I'm enjoying them individually, and I want to feel a little bit more reactivity in my body. I'll raise the spirit up and add a little audibilization in the technique, and that adds and expresses a lot more focus and a lot more energy. All right, one last time. Let's take a look at hands raise up and step forward. Okay. Put lots of reps in, give your mind as much opportunity as you can to kind of get this to be natural. You'll always have the opportunity to go back and repeat it. As you know, we have this online so that you can go back and see it. We'd like you to, in order to get these in order, I highly recommend that you turn on notifications and subscribe. Also, share this with family and friends. If you know folks that can benefit from this sort of thing, share it with them, and we value your input as well. So have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be a nice one again this week, a little rain on Sunday possibly. Monday's class will be focusing on crane spreads its wings, another split energy-like action, but a wonderfully graceful-like movement, again, helping us to use our imagination. So spend some time on that one. Try to get out and enjoy yourself this weekend. Be safe and be blessed.